Hi guys, in this video we're going to look at side bend, or what is known in biomechanics as frontal plane torque. So side bend is something that we all use in a functional sequence with, say, throwing or hitting. It will be present in the system. It may not be used to its full capacity, but it will be partly utilised to help transfer force. And by using this balance pad here with this line, we can see what frontal plane torque or side bend is. It's just rotation this way in this plane. And what this really looks like in movement terms with the torso is this. So we're looking at spine mechanics, and we're looking at how this combines with what we normally recognise as rotation, which is transverse rotation, and that would look like this. So that's transverse rotation, and this is frontal plane rotation. And then we've got sagittal plane, which is flexions and extensions. So that's flexions, which essentially bend us forward and extend. We're just talking torso, not lower body, just upper body. So a flexion would be rotating me this way, and that's an extension. But it's a rotation, in effect. We're going to look at all three, but predominantly in this video, the side bend element, the frontal plane torque, because it's this torque which is this action combined with the transverse plane, which is what we recognise as body rotation. The two go hand in hand. We get this and we get this. So we get rotation of the body this way and rotation of the body this way. So if I was to rotate this way then towards the target, it would look like that. And that is a combination of, for me as a right-handed golfer, right side bend and then rotation to the target. Now this is critical for releasing the levers. Now if you were to throw a ball, because we always talk about natural actions, all we're doing in this video is just stripping it back a bit, if you like, amplify our awareness for these components which might provide powerful cues to trigger the whole motion, to recognise the whole motion. We just need reference points, and then we can recognise where we are in space, and that's all it is. It's recognising how we're moving in space and letting the body move freely. So if we take a ball, if I was to throw this ball, if you look at my position here, look where I am. If I turn face onto you, there's side bend. See the zip? I've actually used side bend. At some point in this motion, I've used side bend. At what point did I use it? Because it's this point that we want to use it in our golf swing too, and it's really important because it's going to let us release the levers at the right time for the most efficiency. Because if I don't use side bend and just rotate, I'm missing out on a vital force contributor. So your side bend is critical. So how do we recognise it? What is the timing of it? What is the movement? What I suggest you do is get something like a balance pad, or be careful, get a plate out the kitchen, okay, and get the plate and hold it against your chest. And all I want you to do, without swaying your pelvis from side to side, is just rotate the plate. Just think of a clock face and just rotate it. And this is side bend, not this. A lot of people think of side bend as lifting the shoulder and dropping the other one, and yes, it is creating some flexion here, can you see, from the sternum, but really I'm just using my shoulders, whereas we want this flexion to come from the sternum here. Think of it as a cog in the torso. When we're just rotating the cog, the shoulders are just relaxed, they're just reacting, they're not driving the action. This is driving the action, and it doesn't need the pelvis to sway. Now we want side bend in both directions because we're swinging on an incline to a ball on the floor and we're stood at the side of it. So that means our swing is on an incline, which means our torso doesn't just rotate this way. There has to be some incline, and that incline is side bend. And this side bend is a big power contributor. It's when we do it in the swing. We don't want to do it here. You might see people do it early. So that's lots of power, but way too early. Okay, we want this much later. Much later. In fact, it's going to be coming around about here. And most people do it here. Most people are using their side bend here because they're using their upper body. This is how they recognise their power source. This is where they're using their torque generator here way too early, and now it creates haywire. Now you're holding on for dear life. As I'm looking at you, this is rotating for me in the anti-clockwise direction, for you in the clockwise direction. Okay, so if you're looking in a mirror, it would be going in the anti-clockwise direction. And then you're going to rotate, for me as a right-hander, away from the target. I'm going to make my backswing. And now I can feel what it's like to use core rotation, and we can use these together. If you do this earlier and more, and then rotate, it's going to make the swing probably more upright. If you do it later and only a little bit, it's probably going to be quite shallow because the club's already swinging. So it's kind of finding what it feels like just to side bend and then play around with it. What feels comfortable to you? Because the more side bend you make here, probably the more restriction you're going to feel. So we don't want to be restricting our movement too much, but we do want to side bend. So once we've rotated anti-clockwise and then rotated the body away from the target, now we're ready for the downswing. And what we're going to do, we're going to keep this side bend and we're going to drop into the floor. Now, the perfect exercise for this is a step drill. So what you do is you start with your feet together and you rotate me towards the target here, as in anti-clockwise. Now I'm going to rotate away from the target for my backswing. Okay, it's going to be slightly restricted because I've got my feet together. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a step and I'm going to load into my left side. I'm going to drop into the floor. Now this is a super move for the change of direction in your golf swing. This is a real magic move. Here, side bending and maintaining that side bend. And then, when we rebound from the floor with the vertical, we rip this in the clockwise direction. But be careful guys, I'm using that language loosely. Just work within your own capability, work within comfortable ranges. Don't do this if you've got any serious back issues or hip issues or neck issues. Ease your way into it gently. This is important that you just take your time. It's not about how much you do it, how aggressive you do it, how much force, how fast you do it. It's about just gently easing yourself into these movements so you recognise that space. You recognise these joint actions, because that's what they are, they're joint actions, that's what's moving the skeleton. So we're just recognising movement, form. This will be a strange feeling for a lot of us. We will already here in a golf swing, as we start to transfer our weight, we'd be out of this side bend pretty early and we'd be trying to maybe get the club from the inside to play a draw, and we bring in the low point back and we flip rolling the golf club and flipping that release. It's a common error. So, side bending towards the target, so that's that anti-clockwise direction, rotating away from the target. Okay, so for me as a right-hander, that's backswing, and then a step. And now we're going to make the step, i.e. the drop, and then the pop. And the pop combines with the side bend away from the target in the clockwise direction as I'm looking, and as you'll be looking in the mirror. So we're not swaying the hips, we're using the torso. And if I now rotate to the target, now you can appreciate what this looks like in a golf swing. Okay, it's like throwing. Side arm. If you're going to throw side arm, same place. Blending this into a whole movement, we can actually do two step drills. We've got this exercise, the drop and the pop, and we've explored that with the side arm throw, with the step and the throw, and it's the same thing. Now, we're going to look at that as a step drill in both directions. Now we're only going to make half a step each side, which results in a full stance width, because if we make a big stance initially to the right, then we can't go very far to the left as a right-hander. So talking as a right-hander, my right leg first is going to go that way, and I'm going to side bend and rotate, but I'm going to use the step to do it. I'm going to step first, and then use the step to rotate. So I'm using that vertical force to help me, and then I'm going to take the step to the left, whilst maintaining that side bend. I'm going to retain that side bend. So I'm going to drop and pop, and now I'm going to drop. And now I've got all this side bend that I can use with this vertical. And now I'm going to pop, and this is going to go. I'm going to rip this clockwise. So we drop and pop and rotate, and we drop and pop and rotate. So you could actually take the golf club in your trail hand, keep this in your lead hand, rotate it anti-clockwise and then turn back and see where that takes you. Now see what it's like to actually stay in that side bend and fall. Very different. And what's it like now to use that side arm throwing action and start to use that rotation on the way through with the side bend. And that's the side arm throw. Look at the side bend. It's not here. That would mean I'd have to start fishing with my arms, extending early, trying to hit the ball. Here, with the side bend, I can release later. That's the action. Look at the side bend here. Do we feel this in our golf swing? This is what we need to experience. And we need to experience this with the pop, the drop, and the pop. And we can actually let this go. Anti-clockwise rotation, and then rotate away with the body to swing, and then drop, and now let it go. And then take that away and feel the finish. What's it like to be in this place? The eyes are on a different level. I'm not looking at the target now from this horizontal perspective. I'm on an angle with the eyes. So I'd start off with some pitching. I'd start off recognising what this is like in the backswing and what this is like in the follow through. So in the backswing, what's it like to rotate this way? And in the follow through, what's it like to rotate clockwise and then towards the target? What's it like to finish here? And then we can join the two. So you can start to feel this finish, and you can start to feel this backswing. So using just some basic imagery in your mind of the movement form you're making. These aren't positions, these are just, if you think of silhouettes, think of a form, an image in your mind, at these two locations, back and through. That's not a top and backswing and a finish. It could be even shorter. It could be here, on your way to going to this place. And it could be just after impact, on your way to going to this place. So you could have multiple images, or you could have images in different places, different spaces, different times. But what you're recognising is those images are all based around your recognition of this. This is what underpins your awareness here. How am I moving my torso in this plane of motion? Play around at home. Use the mirrors as movement awareness tools. That's all they are. And let your golf swing evolve around the side bend.
Thought you'd call, but you didn't, so I'm sitting here. Thought I heard my phone ring, but